day. So those of you that have cars on the way will be picking them up from right here where we stand. They'll come in behind me from service and you'll drive out through those double doors there. So we're incredibly excited to open the facility here. There's a few sort of stories I wanted to share with you and some context, and we might leave a little time at the end for a couple of questions as well. I'm sort of feeling brave tonight, so go easy on me. But I'd love to field a couple of questions from you as well. So the first thing is, it's a major facility for us. We are going to be opening others as well. We've already talked publicly about opening more in London, so the next one will probably be south of London. We're going to be opening in Bristol, in Birmingham, in Manchester, in Edinburgh, and in Newcastle. Those are the ones that we've talked about for service centres. So wherever you are in the UK, you'll never be far from a service centre. Probably the first ones after this that we do will be Birmingham and the other one in London, and then Manchester as well. The other one's coming after that. This is a large facility. Through some of the windows you might have seen lifts. We'll have 7 lifts here, so it has a big capacity. Easy access from the M25, the M5, and we hope it'll be convenient for people. Now, speaking of convenience, one of the things that we're announcing today, which I hope will be useful to you as owners, is an airport shuttle. So if you are a Model S owner and you're flying out of Heathrow, you'll be able to bring your car here and leave it with us. We'll drive you to the airport with your luggage and family and accoutrement. And whilst you're away, we'll do a free courtesy inspection of the car, make sure everything's running smoothly. And if the car is due a service, we'll do the service whilst you're away. And then when you're back, we'll come and pick you up from the airport, bring you back here, and you can go on from here. And that will be a free of charge service. So we hope. Thank you. Yeah, we tried that in the US and it was successful, so we thought we'd do it here as well. Luton on EasyJet. How about? I do. But we probably will do more of this sort of thing. That's all I'll say on that one for now. So yeah, definitely expect more service centres around the UK. Airport Shuttle is great. It will be. It's something we're announcing today. We haven't started the service yet, so we will communicate out to our owners. Here's how you go through this. It will be a pre-booking based service, so that we know when you're arriving and when you're coming back. And it will work. If you're flying out at 6 o'clock in the morning and back in at midnight, we'll be here for you as well. Post-launch, so we had our big launch. Many of you might have been there about 5 weeks ago. Elon was up on stage. He handed over keys to the first 5 owners. I learned about 12 hours beforehand that one of them was the author of 50 Shades of Grey, which was actually kind of amazing. She's been such a supporter of ours, which is wonderful. And the launch went very well. We thought, again, we had beautiful sunshine, but we've been busy since then, working incredibly hard on a few things. So I wanted to let you know, out of here we've had a tremendous amount of deliveries. I'm not allowed to tell you how many because it's sort of commercially sensitive information. Our results are due in just a few days, but lots and lots of cars have been delivered from here, mostly from the back, by our delivery team that have worked very hard on that. So delivery is going incredibly well. We have test drive events up and down the country. So you can now go to the website and fill in a form or give us a call or speak to us in the store, and we do test drive events almost anywhere in the UK, really. And if you think that we're not doing one near you, if you have friends or a book club or a chamber of commerce or just a group of interested people, then please let us know. We'll come and do an event near you. The event schedule is basically booked out with what we've got. So every time we get requests, we put on new events. It's been phenomenally kind of well received. So thank you, because I think our owners and our drivers are some of our very best advocates, and you guys are doing a phenomenal job for us spreading the word. Thank you. Superchargers. So this is the #1 priority for us. It is the #1 priority for Elon when he thinks about the UK. I speak to him every week, 2 AM on a Tuesday, and give him the update on supercharging. And he's interested in the US, in the UK, and China, in that order, and what we're doing with supercharging. So it really is a very, very, very high priority for us. And I know it's a high priority for all of you. We're not announcing another opening today, unfortunately, but I did sign an agreement for one today, so it's real. We are definitely going to get more in the next weeks and months. Now, we made a promise at the launch that we would, by October, have the southern sort of part of the UK energized, and that by the end of the year we would allow travel up to the Midlands and even to Edinburgh, and then into the continent as well. We are on track to meet that commitment. So come Christmas, you'll be able to pack your skis and drive to the Alps and not pay for the trip, visit the relatives in Bristol or Exeter. That's very much what we're working towards, and that has not changed. So I'm extremely optimistic on that front and working hard on it. What else have we had? We've had a government announcement just last week. Some of you might have seen that. So the government is actually incredibly supportive of electric cars. You hopefully have seen some of that. I actually don't think they get enough credit for it. £500 million is going into the support of ultra-low emissions vehicles between 2015 and 2020. And about 32 million of that, I think, is going to public charging infrastructure. They love us because we don't take any of that money. So as we work with landlords to put in superchargers, we pay for the power upgrade, we pay for the installation, we pay for the power, and the customer never pays to charge their car there. So from the government's perspective, you know, the investment of tens of millions of dollars that we're putting into UK PLC to build a national charging infrastructure is an amazing thing. So they love it. And you know, you enable us to do this, and you kind of provide us with the impetus to do it. So again, thank you. They announced that they were going to take about 150 electric vehicles into the government car service. Now, they haven't decided yet which brands, but the Tesla and the Model S is up for selection. So they'll look at petrol cars, diesel cars, internal combustion engine cars in their fleet, and then think about switching them out for equivalent electric vehicles from a variety of manufacturers. So for us, it would be ministerial level cars. So we're really optimistic that we will soon see ministers driving around in the Model S, which would just be a great validation for the electric vehicle industry here in the UK and for what we're trying to do on carbon dioxide reduction, on cleaner air, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And frankly, better value for the taxpayer. But you know, those of you that are now driving a Model S probably enjoy not paying for petrol anymore the way they used to. Yeah, am I right? Yeah. So that's incredibly exciting. On a more global front, we've just shut down the factory for 2 weeks. So we do this every year to do upgrades. And this year, it's actually the biggest investment that we've ever made into the factory. That's going to give us two things. The first thing is we're building the Model X production line. And in doing so, we're actually optimizing and improving the Model S production line as well, and increasing overall capacity. So by the end of this year, we'll move from 800 cars a week to 1,000 cars a week in production capacity in the factory. So we're incredibly excited about that, and that's going to allow us to start building the first Model X in the early part of next year, which is very exciting for us. We also announced recently the name of the Gen 3 car, imaginatively called Model 3. It was going to be the Model E, and then Ford stole sex, for those of you that heard that story. So S3 and X is now S3 and X, which still sort of works. So yeah, Model 3, I think is what we're going with. It's not I, is it? It's 3. Yeah. Work continues on the Gigafactory. We're still haven't yet announced the actual site where it's going to open. We are going to break ground on 2 sites and start building out this factory, and then over time pick the right one that's going to make it, and that will then power Model 3 production for 2017. So after that, I wanted sort of to tell you some stuff that I guess that you don't read in the press releases, and that is more personal, if you like, and make this a slightly more unique experience for you. So I wanted to share a bit on my perspective on our mission and why we do what we do, and some reflections on spending 3 days with Elon recently at the launch event, which was an amazing experience, you know, for me and for the team. So our mission is, and I say this constantly to government, to the press, to people that come into the stores, is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable transport. And it powers every decision that we make. So we pursue profit as a publicly traded company with a responsibility to shareholders because it's the best way to demonstrate to the other manufacturers that there is a business in making great electric cars. We are not in the mission of destroying the other manufacturers, but we are in the mission of destroying the internal combustion engine. We want it to go away. We want the world to be a more sustainable place, and we are just at the very beginning of this journey. And you guys and girls, men and women and children and everything in between, are our pioneers at the forefront of that and enable us to do what we do. But we believe passionately in it. And why? Well, there's a number of things. One is that the world is running out of these resources. The the world is heating up. The air in our cities is not clean. And people are dying as a result of this. So in coming to the company, I learned this thing. I said I was going to talk about clean air for a moment, so I will. In coming to the company, I learned this incredible statistic published by the government that 29,000 people a year die prematurely in the UK because of poor air quality. Behind smoking, it's the second biggest cause of premature death. Now, construction is the #1 reason for poor air quality, but particulates, predominantly through diesel, is the #2. So when you drive a Model S, you are actively making a difference to the nation's health. And and those are the deaths, by the way. So then think of the asthma, think of the eczema, and the other conditions that sort of disproportionately affect the young and the old. And that's important, and I'm very, very, very proud of that. And I think as Model S drivers, you deserve to be too. So thank you for supporting that. Yeah.
Saving lives.
So Elon, maybe a couple of reflections on spending some time with him. He is, how many of you were there at the launch? Yeah. He's not the longest-winded public speaker in the world, but he's an incredibly clear thinker. And that was, in a sense, the challenge of spending time with him, was that he sees the world so totally unencumbered by the layers of overconfidence or underconfidence or experience, or just all of the layers of judgment that the rest of us sort of put on as filters in front of what we see. He doesn't see any of that. He sees science and logic and physics and engineering, and then puts it together in amazing ways. So the way I've tried to describe it to friends, he's just this incredibly clear thinker, and a very long-term thinker. So when he was asked in a number of interviews, why do you do what you do? And the British press, being the British press, was sort of needling a little bit for an answer that, isn't it just for the money? But it must be about the money. How much are you worth? And it was fascinating being in the room with him, because he was genuinely bemused or confused by the question, couldn't really understand it. He said, I'm doing this because it's important and it's interesting. And he told them the story about how he nearly went personally bankrupt. Many of you will know this, but briefly for those that don't, in 2008, he took all of the money that he'd made out of PayPal, which was hundreds of millions of dollars, and put it all into Tesla and SpaceX, and ended up in a situation where he borrowed money from friends to make rent. And so when they say, but you must have known it was going to be a success, he says, no, I didn't. I genuinely thought it would fail. Both companies would fail. But it was too important not to try. And now SpaceX has been profitable for 5 or 6 years, and Tesla's worth 25 or 28, depending on the day, $1 billion in market cap. So it's been successful, but it's so important that we maintain that sort of pioneering spirit and that mission statement back again about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable transport. And that's what drives him. So he thinks very long term. So why rocket ships and why cars? Well, cars because we've got to save the planet we live on, and rocket ships is in case we fail. And it's genuinely, that is genuinely the reason. And it's amazing, because you sit in a room with him and journalists, and he says this, and you can see them sort of doing this. They don't know whether to laugh or frown. He is the CEO of Tesla. They did ask to spend time with him, and he makes these statements. Deadpan, no humor, no exaggeration. And then he starts to explain the science behind it, and it's just so clear. He doesn't say it's going to happen tomorrow. He gives a very long time frame for this, but he wants to build a city on Mars. And that's the vision that we live with, and that you're part of. The last thing I'll say about him is, well, just on that, Hyperloop, flying cars. These are the kinds of things. I have never experienced something like it. He mentioned flying cars in an interview with a journalist. So on the drive away from that particular interview, I asked him about it, and he started designing one in the seat next to me, whilst he was writing the blog post about opening up all the papers. Yeah, it's an extraordinary guy. He's an extraordinary guy. So the last thing I'll say about him is also he's got great humility. And he was asked by CNBC, I think, about what legacy he wants to leave behind. And he couldn't answer the question. He sort of, I think he said, I don't understand. And they asked him again, and he sort of said, well, I'm not really interested in legacy. But actually, in closing, I think that the legacy he would be most proud of is all of you driving the car safely, happily, and as he always says to me, is make customers happy. So with that, I'll close. But thank you very, very much again for joining us tonight. We're very proud that you're our customers. very proud of this facility. We'll have many more like this to come, and I'm humbled to spend the time with you. Thank you. I did promise I'd take a couple of questions. So, does anyone? Yeah. Why don't you kick us off?
You have the auto-braking technology coming anytime soon to be tested.
So the gentleman was asking about autonomous emergency braking, and whilst I'm not announcing anything about autonomous emergency braking, safety is absolutely the #1 obsession with Tesla. And I think we've seen that through things like the titanium undershield, and it continues to be our obsession. And yeah, you'll see in many different areas that will improve those kinds of systems over time.
Can I ask why you don't take money from the government to build out supercharging networks?
Too slow. It's too slow. Yeah. They have to spend it fairly because it's your money. So it's too slow. We'd rather go to a site with a landlord and say, here's the deal. We'd like you to give us some space. We'll pay for the power upgrade, we'll pay for the infrastructure, we'll pay for all the power, so it will not cost you a penny. And we'll never charge a customer that comes. And most landlords think that's a very big deal. There are other complications, like our superchargers consume a lot of power. And so to find a site with available power to put 8 bays of supercharging in is unusual. And then if you have to upgrade power, the lead times for that are very long. So we're working through some of that. But yeah, we don't take government money because it's too slow.
Yeah, the bulk of electrical energy is generated using oil. Are you planning to put solar panels into your charge point?
Yeah, the gentleman was asking if we can put solar panels onto our supercharging stations, and the answer is that in many, many cases we will. There are cases where, because of planning, we're not permitted to do so, and arguably it's less effective in the UK than in California. But in many cases we will put solar panels, and some landlords ask us to because they like what it says about their parking systems. It's more sustainable, yeah, indeed. Yeah. So.
If the government is offering you money, why are you so proud of not taking it? As customers, I'm sure we'd like this.
Yeah. Well, let's not overplay it. I'm not necessarily proud of not taking it, except bear in mind it's your money either way. But it is just about how we make customers happy fastest. So spending 6 months in the procurement cycle isn't the way to go.
Maybe a naive question, but can you see your technology transferring into commercial vehicles so that you'd be more sustainable in terms of your offer for the future as well, instead of just car vehicles?
The lady was asking about translating our technology into commercial vehicles in the future. So we have 3 models that we talk about, obviously X, S, X, and 3. We're not looking at other models at the moment. With Model 3, we're building a mass market car at a lower price point, and that is a substantial exercise. And right now, between that and supercharging and expansion into new countries, we think we've enough.
Got plenty to keep you busy.
Yeah, but what we do is in addition to building cars, we build powertrains. So we currently provide a powertrain for some of the Mercedes cars. So there may, of course, be other ways in which we contribute with other manufacturers or other things in the future that are interesting, but we'll see what we can.
How much lithium is still available in the world?
The gentleman asked how much lithium there is available in the world. I don't know. The Gigafactory is going to double world production of lithium-ion batteries, so I'm hopeful that there's enough lithium to go around. Yeah, but I don't know the answer to your question. Yeah, I'll maybe take like one more and then one more after that.
Just another leasing option. Are you guys doing the battery lease, or is it limited miles, like Citroen run off?
Yeah, we don't do battery leasing, so when you buy the car, you bought a battery, which has an 8-year warranty on it, and then depending on the battery, you choose either 125,000 miles or unlimited mileage. Yeah.
How can I buy Tesla without knowing where the charging station will be?
Yeah.
The travel within UK and Europe, but I don't see locations.
Yeah. So the gentleman was saying, how can I buy a Model S without knowing where superchargers are going to be? Which is a very fair question. So the first thing is that we did at the launch actually publish some maps, and if you go to our website on the supercharging site, there are some maps out there that give you a pretty good sense of where they're going to be in a kind of coming soon, next 6 months, and the next 18 months sort of bracket. We tend to be quite careful with what we put on those maps because we want to feel very confident about the information we publish, rather than going the other way and being overconfident. The interesting thing is, and without for a moment diminishing the importance of supercharging, which is absolutely important, we know that fewer than 50% of Model S ever use a supercharger. The vast majority of charging actually happens at home. Now, it's not to say that it's not important, and it is, and we're working incredibly hard on it, I promise you. What I do know is that for people ordering a car today that will arrive in about 4 to 5 months, then we will have a very healthy network of superchargers in the UK by the time those cars arrive. And we should start to see more of them popping up in the next weeks. Okay, these two last questions, and then I'm going to let everyone else go. And just to say, we're sort of planning on continuing things from our perspective until about 9 o'clock, and you're all very welcome to stay until then. And then after that, we'll start to tie things up. So, yeah, so.
Are you investing in any other battery technology besides lithium-based?
Are we investing in other battery technology other than lithium? No. We're just going to make a lot of lithium and then drive the price down, which will help with battery swaps in the future in the event of needing that and Model 3.
How sustainable is the actual production of the car? So, the materials you use and stuff put together. And
He's asked me a ton of questions. How sustainable is the actual production of the car? Kind of soup to nuts. The honest answer is I cannot give you an intelligent answer. There is some really good information on the website. Elon's written some great blogs about sustainability in general, about well-to-wheel ratios in terms of the running of the car. We are obviously very thoughtful about how we build the car. We're not principally marketing the car first and foremost as a sustainable car, because we don't want to be the best electric car. We want to be the best car. So we start with performance and luxury and safety, and sustainability is an equal but not primary goal. But for a more intelligent answer, I would direct you to the blogs, and I clearly need to go and read some of them myself. Okay. Genuinely, thank you again very much. I think I hopefully survived the Q&A, and we're very grateful. So enjoy the rest of the evening.